Welcome everybody to Too Legit to Crit, a tabletop role-playing podcast hosted by two guys who failed all their disappointment rolls.
Oh, it's depressing because it's true. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I figured that one was quite accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think our listeners will
agree.
Really agree. They'll be going, you know what?
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Check.
My name is John Santana.
I am still Justin.
Hello, Justin. How have you been, my friend?
I've been good. We got to play some dice, as my daughter calls it. We got to do lots and lots of fun stuff. And yeah, it's been pretty good. I had a birthday celebration yesterday, which was quite fun. And yeah, just all around had a pretty good week. What about yourself?
Yeah, same. Again, been playing some dice. We had a good session of Fabula.
We did.
My attention was somewhat
divided, shall we say?
Yeah, my attention was somewhat divided in the best fucking possible way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
To the point where I actually apologized to Gaz and said, dude, I'm sorry, but...
He gets it.
You may lose me here and there. But yeah, it was a really good session. We had a good laugh. I'm sure we'll talk about it in a bit.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Other than that, we had session number 2 of Kingmaker, which is fantastic. We started getting into the bit of the nitty gritty that is the overland travel, the hexploration, as Pathfinder calls it, where we got into all the camping mechanics. It is very, very thorough, especially if you like nitty gritty rules and whatnot.
Oh, see, I do that. I might have to have a look at those.
Say one Sunday every month. You're more than welcome to join us.
Yeah, I might have to, because I do like all that nitty gritty stuff and getting really stuck into things.
Yeah, so when you're camping, everybody takes a role. Someone can cook, and they make either a law cookery or a survival. If they succeed, then gives the party bonuses. If they eat that food, you can reinforce your camp, which gives you bonuses in case there's an attack. It is very, very detailed in that respect.
I really like that because it feels a bit more, and I hate saying this when I'm talking about, TTRPGs, but it feels more real. Like, and I hate saying that because it's not the point, right? At times, but I think it's one of those elements where the kind of campsite portions of a game always became a bit stale because it was just, we're gonna set up camp here and next day.
I do suppose it's all down to the type of game you're running. I mean, True. Kingmaker by definition is a nitty-gritty campaign. You've got a lot of different management that you have to do, and that's by default. But if you were to use, play another Pathfinder AP, they don't have any of that. So I'm really kind of leaning into it for Kingmaker because it's there for a reason.
Yeah, and I think like you nailed it there as well by saying like it's going to depend on the AP, because there are some times where going that level of detail is just not necessary and could kill the vibe, So I think it's definitely use it sparingly, but if you use it, lean into it, or don't use it at all type thing.
And I do think if you use it, then you kind of have to make it narrative. You can't just, okay, so we've camped up, right, you roll for this, you roll for that, you roll for the other. Instead, it'll be a case of, right, you've camped up. What's happening? If they turn around and say, no, we're just going to go to bed, you don't get any rolls. However, I'm gonna cook a nice meal. Fair enough. Okay, let's roll for it. Let's see what advantages that can give you. You don't have to do it. You can go straight to bed, and if there's a random encounter, there's a random encounter. Or if not, you wake up the following day.
Yeah. No, I do quite like that. adds a interesting dynamic as well, because then you start looking at like, okay, well, who's going to be the best one in the group to maybe cook that meal, and kind of they become the chef, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, so it was a ton of fun. Looking forward to next month as well. I'm still trying to get used to this once a month malarkey.
Yeah, once a month is tricky, because like you get really into it and then you're like, cool, now I gotta wait a month.
Yeah, especially when it's a campaign. It's like, fuck.
Yeah,
I gotta play this next week.
Yeah, and I mean, I think as well, like I think bi-weekly is like a good, or not like a good break. I think that's like the longest break that I feel comfortable with. That's probably not the right word, but I feel like any longer than that and it's too long, any shorter than that and it can be a bit like too fast paced. That like a 2 week between sessions, I think is like the longest I would be comfortable going, if that makes sense.
I mean, for now, with 2 sessions in, it does seem to be working. The monthly thing, because when it comes round to game day, everybody's excited, everybody's sort of energized.
Yeah.
They kind of do bring that to the table. Whereas sometimes when you're doing like a weekly, you know, to be fair, sometimes you just cannot be fucked.
Yeah, it can get tedious sometimes. Yeah. Yeah.
So for now, seems to be working. If there is demand to bring it up to twice a month, I'm up for that.
Yeah, man. That sounds good.
So yeah, it's been a good week. Fabula was a ton of fun.
It was. And like before we dive into Fabula, I'm going to mention this purely because Fabula's on the list.
Yeah. I mean,
the finalists for the Tabletop Awards of 2023 have been announced. And Fabula's one of them. So,
which awards are these? Because are these the Ennies?
These are. It's just the annual Tabletop Awards.
Oh. No, because we had the Ennies not long ago, didn't we?
Yeah. So this is the heavyweight champs, just the straight up Tabletop Awards. So this isn't just TTRPGs, there's board games and that as well.
Okay.
So there's 3 games in the finals for best board game. Hegemony, Lead Your Class to Victory, Queen by Midnight, and Sky Team. I've not played any of those, so I might have to check them out because I do love a board game.
I have not heard of any of those, to be fair.
The category we care about, best role playing game.
Now we're talking. How many do Free League have? Because they have always got fucking finalist.
I don't know, because they have not put who the publishers are. They've just put the names of the game. Oh. So I'll read off the list and you can tell me if you know any of them.
Okay.
Obviously, Fabula Ultima is on this list.
Yep, Fabula Ultima. Fantastic.
Absolutely deserves to be there.
Justin does love Fabula Ultima. I mean, we both do.
So good.
It's almost sexual for just...
It is. It's just such a cool system. But anyway, we'll get to that later. A system called Anemon Story. One I think you'll like. Barkeep on the Borderlands.
Barkeep on the Borderlands?
Yep.
Interesting. I'm going to have to Google some of these while you're talking about them.
Absolutely, yeah, feel free.
I'm thinking Barkeep on the Borderlands might be... Oh, who did the Borderlands? Was it Modiphius that did?
No, it's Prismatic Wasteland that have done this one.
Oh.
I've just whacked it into Google myself. It's a bar-hopping fantasy adventure amidst Mardi Gras-like festivities. So it's a bar-hopping RPG.
I could relive some of the times when I used to drink.
Exactly, it'd be great. Blade Runner, the role-playing game.
It won't be great.
It won't be great.
It'll be depressing.
Well, you going out drinking is what got you into this. Just saying.
Fair. That is a fair point.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Blade Runner, the role-playing game, is on the list.
I do believe that is Modiphius. One second.
It sounds like the kind of thing they would do. Fox Curio's Floating Bookshop. That
Never
just
heard
sounds
of that.
adorable. Ink. Nice short title for that one. My Mother's Kitchen is somewhere that I'm not allowed in. I added that last bit. My Mother's Kitchen is a game, though, that's on the list. This Discord has ghosts in it.
Okay.
And Women Are Werewolves. That's not a sweeping statement from myself. That is the name of a game.
You sure? You sure you just not being slightly misogynistic?
Just injecting some misogynistic politics into the podcast.
Blade Runner is Free League, apparently. I knew it was one of them.
Oh, yes, yeah. But no, Women Are Werewolves is a non-binary story game where you explore your relationships to gendered spaces, family traditions, and queer family members. So, the complete opposite of the joke we made.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so those are the ones in the final for best role-playing game. I'm not going to go through all of the others because there's stuff like best art, which, whilst very impressive, not something I feel either of us are particularly able to weigh in on.
No, but it is important to note that Barkeep on the Borderlands
is in best art.
Nominated for best art.
It is indeed. And then publisher of the year is 90 Level Games, who make actually that Women Are Werewolves. That's them. So they've got 2 nominations in there as well. Good Luck Press, Osprey Games, Restoration Games, and Snowbright Studio.
Osprey Games rings a bell. Why does that?
Yeah, I think we've covered something that they were releasing recently, I believe.
Yes, I'm just having a look now. Yeah, we have covered something that they do.
Yeah. Their website's not working.
Okay, I'm on to their thingy. Urban Decay. Yeah, I can't recall what it is we covered, but I remember us covering something. I will carry on looking.
But yeah, so, we will obviously, once they have decided on winners in those categories, then I'm sure we will probably mention that again, because it's always nice to look at things that have won awards. You can still vote for the People's Choice Award. Voting is open until midnight GMT on the 27th of November. So people can go and vote there if they want to for whichever game or any of the other categories they wish to vote for.
I am loading it up as we speak.
To vote many times for Fabula Ultima.
100%.
As am I. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. Especially seeing Fabula Ultima on the list because, we've obviously been getting into it recently. And every single time we play it, I fall further and further in love with that system.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, a lot of that is Couch's game. He's running an absolute blinder.
Yeah.
And it is such a fun system. It's, which I'm sure we're going to talk about in a bit, but
yeah,
I do believe you might have a bit more.
I do.
On the news front, on
the news front, I do. So, one that I think will make some people that listen to the show very unhappy, purely because of an interaction that happened in one of our games with a goose. There is a new tabletop RPG, which is basically the Untitled Goose Game. So I don't know if you remember that game that came out. I think it was like 2019.
I bought it for my son, and he
there you go.
Fucking loves it.
Okay, it's that, but a whole game. So I've read up a little bit on it. It uses the Honk system, HONK.
Okay.
Which is amazing in its own right. It shares similarities between 5e and Apocalypse World, but much more simplified. Mm-hmm. Basically, the whole premise of this game is we play as the geese, so same as in Untitled Goose Game, where humans have just arrived in our world. And we are not happy with this. And the whole premise of the game is the geese showing the humans how pissed off they are at their arrival in their world. And I love that. I'm all for it.
And it's one honk before midnight. I do like
yes.
That. Okay, I need to find out more about this system.
So player characters will have 4 main stats that define their goose identity: heroism, observation, nimbleness, and my personal favorite, chaos, spelt with a K.
Nice.
Yep. So each of these stats will enable players to perform various goose-based actions, with one person taking the role of GM or Goose Master. I love that they've changed what GM stands for as well. Who's obviously in charge of narrating and controlling all of the non-player characters. Once players have created their geese, they can send them out to cause havoc and ensure the return of the dreaded Hydra Goose, the feathered one. Okay. I am all for this. So you get a digital version for £8, or you can get the physical copy for 15. And the Kickstarter is running until December 4th, which means that you would probably get it. It's in April 2024. So yeah, so early next year you'll get your physical copy.
I'm just out trying to see if I can find any more information on this honk system. I'm just kind of reading it, and it's like perfect for those moments when you wish to live out your wildest goose-based fantasies.
Yeah, I feel like it's been created purely for this.
As we all have, essentially.
Yeah, you know. Obviously.
Okay, so one honk before midnight is the titular adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And inspired by
awesome.
wacky systems such as lasers and feelings and honey heist.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye out.
Yeah, it feels like one of those ones that, like, if like collectively you and your friends have had a really shitty couple of months and you just want to let loose the geese of war, pull this off the shelf.
So, have you mentioned how well it's doing on Kickstarter?
I haven't.
I think you might want to mention that. But...
Oh, I'm gonna. So they had a goal of £1,000. And they've got just shy of 21,000 already, which is insane.
But I mean, but their highest goal was $5,000.
Yeah,
and they've just completely smashed it.
They've absolutely destroyed it. Yeah, so it's insane, and some of the rewards are just awesome. The Honktacular. So you get the Honktacular edition, which is...
I've just read it.
The Goose Hydra miniatures, which I want. I want a Goose Hydra miniature. I'm just going to throw that out there now. And I'm very, very, very close to convincing myself that £50 is worth spending. But then the Honktacular plus your custom goose.
That's custom goose.
So for £150, you get everything you get in the Honktacular. So essentially, for an extra £100, you get a custom goose artwork of your own goose. Which is just awesome.
And there are 2 left out of 10 of those.
Yes.
So that means 8 people have spent £150
to get a custom drawn goose.
I think it's fucking brilliant, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let's have one honk to rule them all.
The second print. So you get the second print of the one honk to rule them all tier. It gets everything the same, but delivery expected a little later in June 24. And that's £300. Which is insane.
And then there's a Honktacular edition that's run out, I think.
Yes. No. I think there isn't a limit on that one. I think the custom goose is because they have to get the custom artwork done.
Yeah.
So that's why they've put a limited quantity on that one. Just because they've got to commission the artwork, right?
Yeah, but like the one honk to rule them all, there's none left. To get all the physical items plus one colossal goose. The Chonka is a huge resin-printed goose miniature with a wingspan of roughly 25 centimeters. Very limited number available, and they've got none left.
Ah, yes, but that's what the
£300.
Yeah, but that's what the one honk to rule them all second print is, and there's 4 left of that one. So they're just doing a second print of the one honk to rule them all tier list. So yeah, that's awesome.
Then there's the Executive Pro Goose. An executive. It took me a second, but I've only just fucking got that.
Oh my god, you special child.
Fuck's sake.
So yeah, as an executive producer, you will receive a special signed copy of the One Honk book, which is pretty cool. And then you obviously get all of the other cool stuff from the previous tiers, but you get a signed copy. But that's all gone as well.
And that's 500 quid.
Yep. Yep. And that's all gone. There was 2 of those, and it's gone.
That's insanity. Good for them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, good for them.
But yeah, I'm finding it very, very difficult to stop myself from clicking the button.
Go on, do it. Why is it always me that spends the fucking money? Go on. Get it. Do it.
I've favorited the page, and I will get it on payday.
Get your wallet out. Get your wallet out now. Do it.
I don't have money to get my wallet out now, but I will get my wallet out soon. But here's something that I think both of us are going to get our wallet out on. Because it combines something I love with something that you love.
All right.
And no, it's not 5e and Pathfinder. But it does involve Pathfinder. So, Munchkin, a series of games that I absolutely love and have several copies of. The creator of Munchkin has decided to revive the classic board game Revolution, but set in the Pathfinder world.
Yeah, I feel I've seen this quite recently. Now, you'll have to talk to me first about Revolution, because I haven't got a fucking clue.
Basically, the game itself it's a bunch of players vying for control of the factions within a city. Now they're changing what was in the core game slightly to fit obviously the Pathfinder world. So they're doing it within Pathfinder cities and stuff like that, but the core mechanics of the game are staying the same. So basically the players will be trying to vie for control using things like blackmail and bribery and pretty much any backhanded means they can to take control of the city. And they will have different factions that they will be leading in order to do that. So things like the Guildmaster's leadership, or maybe you're the head of the Scholars, or all these different factions, right? And you basically, each round, the players will bid secretly, spreading their resources around. And so you can't really strategize on like hard evidence, which is what makes it really interesting for me, because any game where stuff is openly bid on, it's very easy to strategize what you're going to do. But in this, you kind of, it's that whole, you can make a deal, but you don't know whether they've held up their end of the deal until later. So do you hold up your end knowing that they might not? And it kind of adds that whole level of like deduction to the game of trying to figure out, like, are they actually going to do what they've said? And I quite like it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds, as far as board games go, quite interesting. Quite,
yeah. I
think quite strategic. I mean, I do like a bit of strategy. But from what I'm gathering, it will be the city in question will be Corvosa.
Yes.
It's the largest city in Varizia, which is where a lot of Pathfinder adventures kind of either start or take place. So it is a known part of that world.
Yep. So they initially tried to launch a Kickstarter for it back in 2022, but the Kickstarter failed, and everyone kind of then obviously went, well, it's just not going to happen. But it's happening because Warehouse 23 decided to just distribute it anyway.
I mean, that's fair enough. Just because something doesn't like hit a goal on Kickstarter doesn't mean there isn't value in it.
Oh, absolutely. And personally, I mean, I didn't even know that this Kickstarter was taking place. I probably would have backed it because it does combine two things that I do really like, because I do like Pathfinder. It was what brought me into this world, right? Yeah. And being able to experience that in like a social deduction board game scenario is like best of both worlds for me, because I don't have to try and change my brain from like the 5e to the 2e stuff, going from, you know, D&D to Pathfinder, and I can switch off because in my head it's board game, not same.
No, yeah, I mean, I'd be interested in it as a board game, even if it wasn't related to Pathfinder. I do think that in this past year, Paizo's brand has definitely increased. Their stock has definitely increased, and I think that is probably what has facilitated this coming to light. Where people are now jumping on board the Pathfinder wave, so we can actually start investing. I mean, Paizo itself are making deals left, right, and center with all these other virtual tabletop brands, all these different ways of playing. So I'm surprised that they haven't actually got involved with this other than licensing. But, you know, if there is someone else that is actually wanting to distribute it, then fantastic.
Yeah. So I am definitely going to be keeping an eye out for that when it releases, which is today.
Is it today on Kickstarter, or is the game actually released?
It should be arriving in local game stores and other retail outlets November 13th. It hits stores today.
Interesting. I'll keep my eyes out for it.
That went under the radar. Yeah, I might have to pop down to the our local game, like board game store, and see if they've got a copy or if they can get hold of one and go from there. Yeah, but it looks awesome.
All right. Well, that's definitely something to look into, and you know, maybe if you get it, we'll pop around and we'll give it a whirl, as it were. But
yeah, absolutely.
Talking about playing things around at yours. The other day, we had an amazing session of Fabula.
We did. It was so good.
We all brought in characters with one additional level than we had the previous time. So what did you think of Edgar's pivot?
I mean, it was something that I wasn't expecting, but I'm here for it.
So, for context purposes, when Edgar is a gunslinger and tinkerer, and I initially was gonna, although I've changed his personality somewhat drastically, I was gonna kind of go down that route and just carry on tinker. And I had an idea, I had a plan of what I wanted him to be as a tinkerer, sort of like a Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, Tony Stark sort of person. But due to our party being somewhat lacking in the healing department,
understatement of the year,
and also the way I was playing him, I decided to give him a very religious angle, inspired by the Boondock Saints of all things.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a definite sort of that gunslinger who would recite a prayer before he blew somebody's fucking face off.
When you were doing it, though, my mind went to Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction, because he had that verse that he recited like before he killed someone.
Did not think of that even, but I was
that's
going
where my brain went.
More Boondock Saints. So I decided to make his religious side somewhat official. So he is now essentially a gunslinging paladin.
I love it. It's so good.
is fucking good, and I'm enjoying it as well.
Yeah.
But your character is definitely interesting. Good old Potato.
Good old Potato. Yeah. So I decided that. So in the session previous, there'd been a lot of like one person protecting someone else going on. I think it was mainly Chris protecting you. I think it was most of the guarding that happened in the previous one. Seeing that kind of self-sacrifice, Potato was like, that's a pretty good thing to do for someone. So I took a level in Guardian.
Yeah, and you used that.
Yes, I did.
You took advantage of that something fist, because you were getting slapped left, right, and centre.
I was, but you know what? It was so much fun. So the skill in Guardian that I took is a skill called Protect, which basically lets me, whenever any other player is threatened, takes melee, spell, range, any kind of they could take damage in this situation, I can choose to jump in front of it and protect them from said damage. Now, I don't have to do it before the roll, so the roll can happen, the result can be known, and then I can go, yeah, I'll jump in front of that. And honestly, that was so much fun, especially when you pair it with my counter-attack ability. It's like, that's an even number? Yeah, I'm going to jump in front of that one.
Yeah, that was good. I think Chris's character stayed as Tinkerer Orator, didn't he? He took another level in that. And what about Daryl's?
Grim, he continued down the same path that he was on already, I believe. And yeah, Grim has that ability to like absorb spells is so much fun.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's like monster does spell, I'ma do it back.
Yeah, because me as a spiritist, I've got like one spell. Well, that sucks.
Whereas he's just like, every time somebody casts a spell at him, he's like,
I'm going to learn that.
I can do that now.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he has to replace a learned spell every time. He's got a maximum he can know or something.
Yeah,
like that.
So he can learn 3 at the moment, and to learn a new one, he has to forget one of the other ones. But I believe as he takes more levels, he gets more learned spells as he goes up. So that ability gets stronger as it progresses.
No, it was a phenomenal session, and I was distracted for a decent chunk of it. But it was really fun.
Well, the trippiest part for me was I walked out of the room and we were being escorted somewhere, and when I walked back in the room, dragons. You walk back in, it's like, right, we're rolling for initiative, get ready, there are dragons. It's like, huh? What?
And the status bonuses that we racked up on those fuckers.
Oh, dude, they were not happy. I mean, that one dragon, I think at one point the dragon was poisoned, weakened, dazed, stunned. I think the only thing it wasn't was, I can't even remember. There's like one condition it didn't have. That was it. That poor dragon.
And then it was also the guys as well, because I having the highest AC of the party, it was like, I'm not gonna fucking hit you. Like,
which I'm not happy about.
It was, what, me having the highest AC?
You beat me by 1.
Still beat you.
I know, but it's fine. because we also leveled up again as well, so we get to add new awesome goodness.
And I am really struggling.
I've decided what mine is.
I don't know, because obviously I can't take any more now. Nor can you.
No, I know. Yeah.
Fuck.
I didn't know.
But yeah, I can have to choose between Tinkerer, Gunslinger, or Spiritist, and I'm really debating as to which I'm going to go for.
So I've opted to go another level into my weapon mastery. So yeah, that's kind of, so I now hit on a +3 with that instead of +2 that I had before. Yeah,
because that was one of the options. Probably take another level in Gunslinger and up that as well, so I can also hit on a +3. There is an ability, Gunslinger ability, that is kind of cool. If I guard without protecting anyone, if I just guard myself, then I get increased damage on my next shot.
Ooh, that's nice.
So it's currently skill level ×2, I think. So yeah, I'm debating.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, like, I also love the way that the character building in Fabula is designed for multi-classing. Like, you can't just one class all the way.
No.
And it opens up to so many different ways of playing. Like, even just reading the rulebook now, like trying to come up with the next levels for Pote, I'm saying, I'm like, oh, that would be a really fun character. And I start building out another character. And I'm like, oh, that'll be fun as well. And that'll be fun. And that'll be fun. So I've already got I've got all of Pote's family members planned.
Yeah, there's the way it works being so modular. It gives you a massive amount of variety.
Yeah.
As to what you can do. And you can't take 50 levels of Gunslinger. Once you hit 10,
that's it. You're done.
Max. So then you got to go to the next thing. So I'm thinking about maxing one out and then trying to take another class, but I haven't decided what yet. But we'll get there. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be maxing out my Weapon Master first. And then I've got some stuff in Guardian I want to do to finish off the build I have in mind. Because there's another Guardian ability that basically, when I'm protecting someone, so if I guard, it's kind of like what you were saying about if you guard but don't protect someone. Mine is when I guard someone, they gain resistance to all damage type. So even if there was a weapon, like, in the press start, the big bad in that had the weapon that could go through even if someone was protected. So you would still have resistance to all damage types because I protected you.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
That's something that I'm going to lean into a bit later on, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Just hoping we get to play another session soonish.
Yeah, me too.
Because it is fun. It is, it is
so good.
Another game for me to play, and
it's so good.
I'm enjoying being part of a campaign. I get to play when I do like society games and stuff like that.
It's not the same, though, is it?
It's not the same. I don't get to grow a character. I don't get to kind of invest and kind of go, well, how's my character feeling and all this and kind of bring out that personality.
Yeah. I mean, that's something else that I really like with Fabula, though, talking about like how that character's feeling, because that actually plays into mechanics, because how your character feels about the other people in the group actually is a core mechanic of it as well. Yeah. And I love that. That's so cool to me. Like the fact that, I really like, my character really got on with Grim and I've got a really strong bond with him, and seeing him do something that was a really cool feat of strength. When I fucked up my roll, I was like, I can't let Grim see me fail. And that gave me that reroll because of Fabula points, and I'm not going to go too heavy on the mechanics there, obviously. But the fact that is such a core mechanic of the game is really cool, that your bonds and your feelings actually influence the mechanics is really cool.
Yeah, and going back to Fabula points, the mechanic where you can influence the story.
Yeah, that was cool.
And it was because I saw the mechanic and I just went, I want to see how this works.
I'm gonna press the button.
I'm gonna press the button.
And you did. You pressed the button, and then we got a really cool moment.
Yeah.
And then I did everything I could to protect her, but she still fucking died.
You can't protect people from themselves.
True, I tried.
She jumped in front of a fireball or whatever it was.
And you got a new gun.
Oh, that was so fucking funny.
And I got a new lance.
So essentially, there are two gunslingers in the party, myself and Crow. Yeah. We got attacked by some dudes riding dragons with guns. And at one point of the combat, they both dropped
their guns.
So Crow went first. He went and grabbed one of these guns. And the GM was, are you going to try use the gun? Are you going to use the gun? So Crow decided not to, probably wisely. So me being me, went, you know what I'm going to do?
Pick it up and use it.
I'm going to pick it up and use the fucking gun and see exactly what happens. And I think it was a pretty hard roll, but I managed to succeed. And I got a badass gun.
And then I got a really cool lance as well, because after they dropped their guns, they had these like really cool lances that came out of their arms. So when we killed them, they dropped those. So I was like, yoink.
Yeah, it was a proper Del Boy moment. Who dares wins.
Yeah. But I mean, speaking on that though, right? Because it's something that I wanted to have a chat about, right? Is you said something there that obviously Couch said during the session of, do you try to use it? And I wanted to kind of have a little chat about some of those things that you've either said as a GM or you've heard said at the table of like, so you open it.
You can certainly try.
Or like one of my personal favorites is, what's everyone's passive perception? Okay, yeah, you don't notice anything.
No, I like that. So, whereabouts in the room are you?
Or
that always.
How's the party positioned as you're walking through this corridor?
Who's opening the door first?
Because those are those sentences where when you're on the other side of the screen as a player and the DM says one of those, you're like, oh no. Guys, we're dead. We're dead. Now, my question is, how often do you say those things just for fun?
All the fucking time.
It's so good.
As much as I can. Anything I can say to create unease, I lean into heavily.
Or another one I really love, though, is if somebody asks, like, I'm stealth, right? Just to respond with, you think you are.
Second edition does that quite well because you've got the secret roles as a like a codified mechanic. So things like stealth, the GM rolls.
Yeah.
So what's your bonus? Okay. And you just kind of go, you think you're hidden.
As far as you're concerned, you're the ninjiest ninja that's ever ninja'd.
And also like stuff like diplomacy. It's like, oh, what's your diplomacy? All right. And you just kind of leave it hanging there.
Yeah.
No, so it does work. It does kind of subvert the meta knowledge, which I really enjoy doing anyway, because it's just fun. I know I put something on Threads about that. No, actually did a blog post about using meta knowledge to the GM's advantage, and a few people weren't happy. They thought it kind of bred a bit of a toxic gaming environment. Like,
I think the thing is though, like sometimes you have to, because people can't help but have something that's said influence their decisions, right? Like for example, that incident with picking up the gun, right? When Crow picked up the gun, let's be honest, if it wasn't for Couch saying, so you try to use it, he absolutely would have shot the gun. But the minute Couch said, are you going to try and fire it? You could see him go, no.
Well, I don't know because I can't speak for other people, but I can 100% say that Couch saying that is what made me
absolutely
go and use the fucking gun.
Yeah.
100%. It was Couch's heavily hinting that I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
If I die, I die.
I think it's one of those things where, you wanted to go in and find out what happened. And obviously when Crow picked it up and that was then posed to him, he was like, I don't want to do something that's going to negatively impact the group, right? Of me blowing everyone up because I tried to use this gun, which was a possibility. We didn't know. It could have been like the Judge Dredd guns, right? Where it's like hard coded to DNA. And if you like somebody else picks it up, it just blows up your hand. That was a possibility.
There was one thing that you did. I was like, oh, fuck's sake.
What?
At one point, Edgar got hit. I had 20 hit points left. I got hit for exactly 20 hit points. So I was going down to 0, and you did your protect ability.
Yes.
I was kind of going, right, I want to see what this fucking last stand does.
Oh, I didn't realize you had a thing for that.
I was like, I want to find out what it does. Yeah, if I lose the character, fuck it, I'm trying out the system. And then you saved him. It's like, okay. Well, maybe next time.
Next time I'll let Edgar die. There we go.
No, you play your character, but like at the time it was.
I mean, in fairness, that is kind of Pote's whole thing of protecting the weak. And in that particular moment, you were pretty fucking weak.
Holy shit, yeah. I mean, those things were dealing damage.
Dude, they were. Like, I mean, like, Pote, I think, has the most health in our group. And I got reduced to almost 0, like 3 or 4 times in that fight.
Yeah, and like, because obviously the guys shot first. I think one of them connected to one of you. They didn't hit me, they hit somebody else. And it was like, okay, damage is all right. Then it was the dragon's turn. It was like, fuck.
Yeah, they were doing like 30 points of damage every round. And we, like, as I said, I have the most health in the group, and I have 71.
I have substantially less.
Yes. So 30 points of damage is a lot.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal session, and I cannot wait to play some more.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I am absolutely looking forward to it.
So, the other day, I have seen the interaction and the engagement we're getting on threads increase substantially. One of the worrying things was a lot of that increase came when I had a bit of a passive-aggressive dig at Wizards of the Coast. So that was it. That was a dangerous precedent to set.
Yep.
I had a dig, and then all of a sudden I had 20 more followers. It was like, oh, people like this. But anyway, I chose to be the bigger person and stop there for now. But what I did do is I kind of put it out to threads and just kind of said, because we are creating this wonderful community of tabletop role players, GMs, creators, artists, etc. If you've got something that you want us to kind of have a quick look at and maybe give you a bit of a shout out, let us know. And the response to that was incredible. Far more than we are going to be able to cover in one episode. So
fantastic.
So I think we're going to kind of have it as a bit of a, at least for now, until the well runs dry.
New segment.
Just have it as a bit of a new segment. I think we need a name for it. I have no fucking clue what to call it. So Justin is now looking up into the air as he's thinking. So if you can think of the name of the segment, if not, send in a suggestion. But
I've got nothing.
I've got fuck all as well.
I'm excited to see though,
because
you've deliberately hidden all of this from me.
Right now, let's call it Threads stuff.
Threads Spotlight.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad. I'm sure we can.
We'll absolutely come up with something.
By the end of the episode,
that's it for now.
We'll probably have something.
Yeah.
All right. So the first thing I want to bring up, this was presented to me by, as soon as Trello decides to load, by Zed Turtle on Threads, and it is called Ashen Frontiers, and it is by Scrub Oak Publishing. All right. So he sent me a free PDF, which basically gives you a bit of insight into this broken world.
Mm-hmm.
And the land is covered by a great desert known as the Ash. The tyrant's rise to power caused the sun to grow larger in the sky and great ruptures to appear in the earth. When the tyrant rose to power over a century ago, he did so as an arcane apocalypse that destroyed all verdant life and turned most of the land into ash and dust. Ashen Frontiers is the story of the broken world of Pharaoh and its people. There are still yet those who oppose the tyrant, and they gather in Elytra, a city of like-minded individuals where the freedoms of speech and association are treasured. And it is a really sort of rich setting, and it is a setting that has been designed for both Pathfinder and fifth edition. Sorry.
Fifth edition, yeah.
Yeah, and it looks phenomenal. So I'm gonna. Have you got it on the Trello just to kind of check out?
I have. I've pulled up the drive-through RPG page as well.
Yeah, and just like the artwork on the front is fucking lovely.
It looks really cool. Yeah. And it goes again. It leans into that post-apocalyptic setting that we both love.
Yeah, I do have a bit of a soft spot for post-apocalyptic stuff. I don't know. I think, to be honest, I think fantasy gets a bit too much. I see a bit too much of it. Post-apocalyptic, because it is a lot more open.
Yeah.
You know, I find that you can do a lot more with it. Whether it's intentional or not, when you do fantasy, you do kind of fall into the tropes.
Yeah, and I think it's because like it's what's comfortable. It's what we know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's part of why I like these sort of post-apocalyptic settings and stories and stuff like that, is because you have to take what you know and throw it out the window. You have no choice.
Yeah,
because if you don't, you die. Like that's it, right? And the fact that this is like desert, like a set in like a desert plain, and it's just it sounds really, really cool. And I have already clicked download. Yeah,
I did check it. I did actually look at the PDF, and there is a lot in there. Like for a simple free PDF, there is a lot to kind of build upon. And yeah, we like that. So yeah, check that out on Drive-Thru RPG. It's called The Broken World from Scrub Oak Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So moving on to something ever so slightly different. Both of us, we like math rocks.
We do love some clicky clacks.
We do like some, and I have found, and I just need to kind of find who to attribute this to. This is actually Cryptic Crits on Threads. They sent us a link to their website, and they are some pretty click clacks.
Oh, they are.
Like the Barbara Yaga ones.
Yeah, I know a certain little girl who would love those. They
are fucking pretty.
They are, man.
Like
I'm also looking at the unicorn meat dice. Those look so cool.
Holy shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know what they... I don't think these are resin. I don't know, because they're very, very sort of straight. If that makes any sense. There's no curvature to them.
No, they are. They're resin sharp dice. So they've just got some fantastic molds.
They are amazing.
They are fantastic. And the inking on them as well.
I mean, they're going between like $50 to $55. But if shipping weren't an issue, I would see myself buying some of these.
Yeah.
They are really, really pretty. I mean, I'm just going to actually delve slightly into the shop because...
I am clicking buttons. The fact... Oh, wow. You can even... You don't have to pay the $50 up front. You can do 4 payments of $12.50 instead.
Really?
Yeah. So you don't have to pay for it in one hit.
I want to know what shipping would be.
I am having a look. Shipping rates calculated at checkout.
Okay, quickly add to cart. Okay, so 7DP. I'm taking a look at the Fairy Fire Artisan Resin Sharp dice. They are so pretty. All right, so add to cart. Continue to cart. I'm not going to buy them. I am not going to buy them.
Liar.
I'm not going to buy them. I mean, set of dice from the States, how much would that cost realistically?
It shouldn't be too bad for shipping because it should be weight based, right?
United Kingdom. I've got to. Yeah, exactly. It should be weight based. So I am typing furiously. I want to know.
But I mean, while you're doing that, I mean, I'm just gonna talk about them a little bit more because honestly, these are some of the most stunning dice I've seen in a very long time.
Dude, $20.
That's not bad.
$20. So
that's not bad.
A total order, $70, and they are very fucking
They are
nice.
beautiful. Have you seen the Astral Seas?
I'm going back now.
They are stunning. They've got like a really deep blue and like with a little hint of purple, and they just look incredible.
Yeah, purple is my favorite color, so I'm definitely into them.
Yeah. Right. We better move on before we spend money that we don't have.
Yes, exactly.
But I've bookmarked that page and I'm going back
Christmas
to it.
Christmas is around the corner.
It is.
But, dude, 4 interest-free payments of £12.50.
That's not bad.
Right,
no, $12.50.
Yeah. Closing. Right. Thank you, Cryptic Crits. We are definitely.
Yes.
I think
you'll definitely be sending some dice to us soon.
Yes, I will be purchasing some of them sometime soon. Okay, so the next thing. This was sent to me. No, I did not want to do that. Because I want to know. Okay, I'm actually going to have to go onto Threads to find out who sent me this. But it is a podcast. Mm-hmm. Another podcast. So we are touting the competition. Although this isn't really a fucking competition because they are far more professional than us. And it's an actual play. All right.
I mean, if it was a competition, we'd be losing.
Massively. So this is Adventure's Edge. It is a Pathfinder First Edition podcast.
Okay.
With some heavy homebrew rules. Put in not only like a homebrew setting, but a homebrew rule set as well, which I'm going to kind of just bring up some of the differences. So it's Pathfinder P6. They call it Pathfinder P6 rules. And the summary of differences, right? So characters gain class levels from 1st to 6th. After 6th level, characters do not gain more class levels. They gain character levels, which grant 1 feat and 1 skill point per level, regardless of original class, plus the favored class bonus. So this is like a high-powered sort of campaign. Characters do still gain 1 stat point at 4th, 8th, 12th, and 16th. All spellcasters are spontaneous. So none of that prepared shit. So your clerics are going to be spontaneous as well.
Yeah.
Alignments have been removed. Fucking love that anyway.
Woohoo!
All right. It uses a simplified rapid experience point system. Races have been selected around the 10 to 15 race point range. Some of the 4th level spells can be learned as rituals. So yeah, it is a very, very heavy homebrew system. Started listening to it. The audio quality is crisp. And what I started listening to, it was very Fae orientated.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a fairy character, and it was really interesting. So if you do want an new actual play to listen to, check out Adventure's Edge RPG. And I'm just literally trying to find out who actually sent that to me because it's bothering me.
Oh, that's really cool. I quite like that. The fact that it's like, because I was just reading through like some of the rule changes that they made, and then like when you were saying about the you don't get class levels post level 6, I was like, well, then spellcasters are going to be really nerfed because they're not going to get access to their latest spells. But then they addressed that in a later rule change, and that was quite cool because that was my big concern. It's like, well, you've just made spellcasters null and void by doing that, right?
Yeah.
But obviously they're smarter than me, and they had already thought of that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it looks really, really cool. I also like as well that characters can roll on untrained skills at a -5.
Yeah, that is cool as well, because a lot of times, and I've noticed it, especially in Pathfinder, where I can't roll that.
Yeah,
it's like, why don't you give it a go? I mean, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you can pretty much roll anything untrained, but for only certain things, which does kind of make sense.
Yeah.
You can roll stealth to try and conceal something, but you can't necessarily roll stealth to, I don't know, sneak up.
The one that
sneak in somewhere or something like that.
Sorry, the one that intrigues me is there's no initiative rolls.
I did not. Whoa.
The very last line on the rules summary of differences: characters will not be rolling for initiative when combat starts. See combat for a more detailed explanation.
Each combatant acts in a preset turn order. The easiest turn order is table order. Clockwise, for virtual games, turn order should be established with a visible round tracker and should be static.
That's quite cool.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that it can sometimes get in the way of stuff, like not knowing where you're going. Because some characters, especially if you're building stuff for, with things in mind, some of that, you might want to go earlier in the round.
Yeah.
And this way you can kind of guarantee it. So a bit like what we do with Fabula, right? There are times where it makes sense for me to go first and times where it makes sense for me to go last. And that's why I really like the Fabula way of doing that. But this is another really good way of doing it, because then if you know where you're going, you can plan ahead of time. Okay, so they're going to be going after me, so I can do something to buff them up, but there's no point in buffing him up because he's always going to go before me. I quite like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that kind of works pretty well. I mean, like you said, Fabula itself is a good example of that, because again, we essentially choose the order which we want to take, because it all depends on how it benefits us at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely interesting. So it is definitely worth checking out.
Yeah.
Anyone who wants a new
actual play.
Yeah, new actual play to listen to. I would definitely recommend it. Again, I was listening to episode 1 on my way to work the other day, and it was just really cool. And they do seem to have a good sort of table dynamic as well.
I'll have to give it a listen.
All right. So unfortunately, I cannot find who sent me that. I will post it in the threads. But yeah, that's gonna bug the shit out of me. But anyway, okay, have we got time for one more?
Yeah, we've got time for one more.
Yeah. All right. So the last one is a Kickstarter. This was. Let's bring up the Trello. Trello's just been a bit slow. Okay, so it's brought to my attention by Rage Panda Pajamas on Threads.
Great name.
But the game is by Muddied Waters Games on Blue Sky. Okay. This is called Deployment. It is a World War II tabletop role-playing game, which it seems to explore war in a non-glorified manner.
Mm-hmm.
So there are rules for the mental and the physical changes and strain that war puts upon somebody. The way I could probably describe it would be like Delta Green, but without the unnatural element. So you do have these sort of things that
sanity.
Exactly, a sanity kind of mechanic. But combat may have small wargaming staples as well. So it's not just necessarily kind of a tabletop role-playing game. It does have the sort of wargaming. I don't know what it would refer to as wargaming staples, but it would have that sort of certain elements to it. I'm assuming elevation might be one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking through some of the stuff they've got on the Kickstarter page as well. It's also got things like customizing and operating vehicles.
Yes, that really fucking got my attention.
Yeah, if you want to put a flamethrower and grenades on a random car, why not? I love that line. That's an amazing line, and for that reason alone, I love it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I mean, it's looking at what you get as well in this Kickstarter, it's incredible. So you get all of the core rules, obviously, a bunch of historic battles, unique vehicle mechanics, and a 30-session campaign. 30-plus session, obviously depends, I guess, on how quickly you run through a session, but that's a lot of content.
Yeah, that is a fucking ton. And like some of the, obviously you've got that home front tier, which is you just get updates and whatnot, but after about $10 gives you a 50% discounted PDF copy of the core rulebook and the debriefer's guide. Enlistee for $15, you get the core rulebook. Then for front lines, you get the mini campaign, core rulebooks, and a GM screen. The highest tier is only about $50.
Yeah. $50. Yeah. And that gives you the physical of everything.
Yeah, that gives you a physical copy, which is which is pretty fucking awesome, to be honest.
And Operation Barbarossa even, I can't read today, mini campaign. So for $50 you get a system, a DM screen, and a campaign. You can't fault that.
No, it is. I mean, $50 is definitely worth it. And to be honest, their goal isn't massively high. They're only wanting £572, and they're more than halfway there, and still got 23 days to go. So if you want, especially, because I know a lot of people who are World War II buffs.
Yeah.
Who really would be sort of interested in this sort of thing. So if you are interested, check out, it's called Deployment, and there is a Kickstarter. If you're into that, I think it's definitely going to be worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks awesome.
All right. So I don't think we're going to cram any more in.
No.
We do have questions to get to.
We do.
But next week we will shine the spotlight on some more. And when we start running low, I'll send out the bat signal again. Because it gives us something to talk about. It does. Hopefully shines a light on things that people may or may not be aware of. And, hopefully we can kind of grow this community together.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Shall we take a wander over to the couch?
I think we shall.
Sounds good to me. Do you have any questions for us?
I do. I've got DOS questions.
I've also got those questions.
Hey. So, who's going to go first? Should we roll for it?
Let me just grab a D20.
Oh, my dice is the other side of the room. I didn't think it was through. You rolled twice.
I've literally got dice here. Okay, so let's get that dice.
What have I got? Oh, no, there's D6s.
All right, can you see them? All right, so I've got two dice here. There's
I'll take the blue one.
You're taking the bluish one?
Yep, blue one.
All right, rolling for initiative. Okay, you rolled a 6. I rolled a 16.
That sounds about right. Even when I'm not rolling them, I roll low.
So pretty much par for course, so I get to go first.
Oh, go on then.
So let's just have a look at the submissions. Okay, so I got 2 today, both of them from Couch. So the first one Couch is back to the white box. So he asks, with the rise of AI, how much could/would you lean on it to help you with GMing? DMing's a trademark, and fucker. I GM, I don't DM. Anyway, sorry, I apologize. How could/would you lean on it to help with GMing? ChatGPT has so much scope that it could write an entire adventure for you. Would you let it?
So, actually, it's interesting that's a question, because I saw a news story related to that this week that I didn't include just because I thought it's a cool thing for in the future, but it's not quite ready yet. One of the new versions of ChatGPT actually will have the functionality to teach tabletop role-playing game rules. So you'll be able to go in and like query a rule, and it can tell you whether you're right or not, or who's right. So if you're having one of those actually moments at your table, you can just plug it into ChatGPT and it'll tell you who's right.
No, that sucks. That 100% fucking sucks. The authority at a table is the GM. I don't give a fuck what ChatGPT says.
I think I personally wouldn't use it for that, but that's one of the examples they gave. I would personally use it more for if I'm like trying to come up with a concept and I'm like, would that actually work? I'd want to check it. That's what I'd use it for. Or alternatively, if you've got a table full of new players, you could just give them that app. And because it's essentially it would be an app that uses ChatGPT and dropping stuff like as its database in the background, right? So you could then, rather than them having to stop the game every 5 seconds to, query a rule or whatever, they can just type it in quickly. Personally, I would prefer them to stop the game and ask the rule so everyone's on the same page. Because it could also be something that somebody else at the table isn't aware of or whatever. But it was just, it was a news story that I read that was quite funny that was a question. But how much would I lean on it for writing content? I'm not going to lie. I do use it a little bit, mainly for fleshing stuff out because that's where I struggle. So like I'll use it. So I'll know that we need to go to this town, right? We're heading to this town as part of the story or whatever. So fleshing out that town, like I'll know roughly, like it'll need a blacksmith, it'll need a tavern or two, like the things that it needs to have for story and whatnot. But if I ever get into a position where somebody's asking questions and I can't think of something on the spot, cheeky little chat GPT, and now you've got a fleshed out NPC.
I mean, again, I do use it, but I have basically used it to replace random generator tables.
Yeah.
That's it, Instead of rolling on a table to kind of figure out the heritage of an NPC, their personality, their looks, and this, that, and the other, where it used to be roll, roll, roll. Now I'll just put it into ChatGPT and go, right, give me this NPC. Yeah. They're the things that are without consequence. The things that are with consequence, I don't trust it. I kind of do that myself, especially story-wise. I would never use it to write an adventure.
Do you know what would be quite interesting? And I might give it a go just to test ChatGPT's capabilities with like rules and stuff. Is see if we could get ChatGPT to run a campaign. People
have tried that.
Have they?
Yeah.
Well, I'll see myself out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you're not keeping up to date with these things, Justin. Yeah, they have tried it. I have seen it on some of the Reddit forums. To a mixed bag, really. Some of them people kind of go, oh yeah, that seems really cool, but then it kind of goes south whenever something unexpected would arise. It just kind of gets lost in itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would use it sparingly, and I do.
Yeah, So yeah, hopefully that answers that one. Right, my first question is from Sci-Fi, who is deep in the heart of Tesco's. He didn't have for me to sing it, but I can't read that and not sing it.
I thought the singing added a lot.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's obviously what was implied, but
100%.
So any ideas for making linked quest lines, like stop this bad thing happening, but to do that you need this item, but to get that you need to go to this place, but it's occupied by a group of X. So that kind of quest chain, essentially. Like, any tips on how to build out that web?
I think you need to kind of rely on the logical.
Mm-hmm.
You know, start from the end and work your way backwards. And again, I've offered this advice many, many times, as it's essentially how I build my campaigns. Start from the end and work backwards. Okay, so what is the end? What does the end look like? What is the final battle? Okay, so now we've got what the final battle looks like. Okay.
How do we get there?
Who are the players?
Yeah.
Then you've got this. Who's the bad guy? Why is this happening? What does the bad guy want? And you can just kind of work your way backwards to, okay, so what does the bad guy need to do to get to this point? And that's how you kind of create those sort of stepping stones.
I think as well, just to kind of build on that, is don't make any of the steps in that chain something that the person setting the job for you could have done themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's always going to kind of go like, yeah, but couldn't you just go and speak to Dave at the tavern? Why do I have to go and speak to Dave at the tavern?
Because you've got a way with words.
Yeah, it's like, so I would try not to have like those like mundane steps, for lack of a better word. Like, unless it is like, it could be that they need to get information for the next part of this chain from the leader of a rival gang. Now, there's no way, obviously, that the leader of Gang 1 can go and speak to the leader of Gang 2, because if he steps foot in that building, he's dead on sight, right? So they would have to employ somebody who's not affiliated to the gang to go and have that conversation.
I will kind of jump in here to suggest that have the goals, but be prepared to move the goalposts.
Yeah.
So, for example, if the objective is to gain information, right, maybe in iteration A, the leader of the Ravens has that. But then the players do something and kill that dude off. Ah, fuck. Okay, so, the information is now possessed by the leader of the Jaguars. And just be prepared to move the goalpost.
Yeah.
So that the players can eventually reach the goal that they're looking for, but without being railroaded into it. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's the key is make sure it makes sense for them to be asked to do it. And yeah, work backwards. So work backwards, make sure it makes sense.
All right. I hope that answers that question. Okay, so another one from Couch.
Yarp.
And I think there is a typo involved here, but I'm going to read it as he's written it, because why not?
Fantastic.
Couch from the bowls of a corporate hellhole.
Love it.
That may be a pun, though, so I will give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay. So, and he has stolen this from a video, apparently. He has actually put that in the question. But what is your favorite magic item or item drop from a game? And what's the most useless that was then abused to full extent in game? I'm going to struggle with this one.
Oh, I think I even know the video that he's talking about. So the one that was abused, I don't think I've really had any items that I've given out to a player that's been horrifically abused. I don't even think I've been in a game where something's been horrifically abused item-wise. mechanic wise, I've been in games where things have been abused to fuck. My favorite item, though, I think would probably be Stones of Sending that one of my characters got given, where he was originally given them to give like these updates because he was meant to be looking after the party from a legal standpoint because they'd gotten in trouble, and he'd been like assigned to essentially be like their parole officer, essentially. So you had to like use these sending stones to send back reports. And it created this really cool thing where what I would do is after the session, I would send a voice note to the WhatsApp group of my report through the sending stone.
Okay, I like that.
So that was quite fun. And yeah, I would like, do it in the character's voice and all that sort of thing. So it was actually like a little tidbit. So that was probably my favorite item that was ever dished out in a game. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that was abused.
No, we play with people that don't abuse stuff, apparently.
But also, I think that if something gets abused, it's because the GM's allowed it.
Yeah.
And sure as shit, that's not happening in my games.
Well, I think that's also part of it, right? If we're allowing it, we're not seeing it as being abused. Because we're saying, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, fair point. I concede to that. And
yeah, so it could be something that in another game, they'd be like, oh, that sounds like you abused the shit out of that. But like, nobody else was like, we were like, yeah, it's fine.
And I thought I was going to struggle with my favorite item. But I'm not. I know 100% what it is. When we were playing our first campaign, I was playing Nahash, the Bard.
Yes.
But I also took levels in Fighter because I wanted to be a bit more capable.
Yeah.
So Scott ported over a weapon from 3.5 into Pathfinder, and it was the flute sword.
Yes.
So it was basically a flute that you could play, and then it had a button where you pressed it, and it just kind of transformed into a sword. I fucking love that item.
That was cool. Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to Scott for that because it was amazing.
Yeah. I think that's the kind of item as well that always shows, to me, that's the kind of thing that like shows a really good GM because he's giving something that's going to be meaningful to that character, not just a plot device, right?
Yeah, and it became his headstone essentially.
Yeah.
It was an identifying feature of that character.
Yeah. And I think that kind of thing is always just so cool as a player to be given because it just shows that it's not, because I mean, let's be honest, right? A lot of the time when items are doled out, there's normally some kind of story reason or to give the players a bump in their effectiveness in combats because the combats are about to get harder, or there's always like some kind of narrative reason for that item to be given. But an item like that, where it's pure flavor, really, let's be honest, is just so cool because it is a unique thing to bring in and identify a character.
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite. So I hope that answers your question, Couch.
Yeah. Now, my last question is from Sci-Fi, who is now lost. He could be here. He's written older, but then a few hours later, like 3 hours later, sent me a message saying he spelled oldie wrong. So it was obviously meant to be he's now lost an oldie, and he could be here all day as an all day.
Oh, Jesus Christ! That one was painful. That was as bad as our segues. Was it though?
He asks, any ideas for making intrigue webs with complex links between NPCs and characters or their families?
Been there and fucking done it. I did a murder mystery few months back at this point in my homebrew, where there was a deranged girl who was madly in love with somebody, and she was essentially taking out the competition, but she was directly targeting people who were exceptional in certain ways, because the way she saw it was she would mutilate their bodies. She would add these parts onto her and then become sort of desirable. It was a very sort of body horror sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I made a massive sort of web of intrigue. That's probably the best way to kind of put it, where everybody was in a way related to each other. Where you had the killer was somehow connected to a crime boss. The crime boss was connected to all the victims of the families, because it was the killer's design to shed the
Sorry, I've got to explain why I'm laughing. When you were going through the killer is connected to you've seen it.
I see it now.
Connected to the neck bone. Oh my god!
The killer was connected to the mob boss. The mob boss connected to the third victim.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. That is, yeah. We definitely need to write that.
Oh my god, that was not as funny as it was, but I found it hilarious.
I don't know. I think it was actually quite funny, to be honest.
Oh, but yeah, no. Back to the question. I think it's for me. It's same sort of advice to the from the previous question of sci-fi's. Make sure that the links are real, like they make sense, and there is like, it's not like, oh, that was my uncle's great aunt's friend's sister's dog sitter who knew a guy at the pub. Like that. Don't make those kind of tenuous links, and also don't just like pull them out from nowhere just to progress a story. Like a guy that has never mentioned family whatsoever all of a sudden goes, oh, this is my brother, he's very important, but I've never mentioned him in the last 8 years that we've been talking. Stuff like that is a good way of doing it. So like having, like when setting the scene and stuff like that, a good way of showing like a link between two people would be having, like, I don't know, a picture on the wall of them together, or just little things that you can subtly show that there is a connection here and they've known each other a long time. That if probed, you can flesh out more, but you don't have to.
Yeah, it's definitely, again, you're kind of leaning on the logic of it.
Yeah.
The connections have to be logical. Like in the sort of mystery that I was writing, all the victims had a connection to the mob boss, but that was because the killer had designed it that way. The killer had made sure that these connections were made because it was all part of her plan. She was the one who established the connections so that when she finally went about her crimes, the immediate suspect would be him.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that is the important one, is don't just pull a connection out of your ass, for lack of a better way of saying it. And have like some real justification that it could also be something that was subtly said like 8 sessions ago, right? You could subtly inject the seed, and then 8-9 sessions later, when you have the reveal, then you have that moment where the players go, fuck, we did know that. We knew that. How do we not see that? And it can create a really cool moment doing that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully that has answered Sci-Fi's questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that's it for time.
I believe so.
So thank you, Couch. Thank you, Sci-Fi. Thank you to everyone on Threads who sent in their submissions. We're going to carry on doing them. We will come up with a segment name.
Yep, we'll figure it out.
Threading the needle?
Hmm.
Possibly. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah, we'll figure it out. But thank you to you, Justin, for spending some time with me tonight. Do you want to tell people whereabouts they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, so I'm online in most places at Just an Accurate TV. And every once in a while, I also stream video games over on Twitch at Just an Accurate TV on there as well. And in the Facebook group and in the Discord server.
Yep, so we do have a Facebook group. We have a Discord server. I'm normally on there maybe a couple of hours a night, just on the voice channel. Feel free to pop in and say hello. Tell us how much you hate us. It's fine. We're okay with it.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, we're used to it. It's absolutely fine. But also, you can find us on Blue Sky. You can find us on Threads at Too Legit to Crit. You can find me on Mastodon at dice.camp as Natural Juan. And if you like what you're hearing, please leave us a rating, leave us a review, tell your friends. Let's get this out to more people. Let's grow this and just let's carry on building this community that we are finding so welcoming and that we're enjoying so much. But more importantly, thank you to everyone who has taken time out of their busy days to listen to two absolute idiots waffle on about tabletop role-playing games. Thank you very much. Good night.
See you later, folks.